What's up, my friend? They're coming for your children. They want to indoctrinate them. More on that in a second. Welcome to the JP Reacts channel, where you and I get to watch videos as I call out the lies and corruption of tyrants, the absurdities of woke culture, and highlight the amazing work of other freedom fighters. On today's episode, there's no video, but I want to take you through some news slides about how Portland public schools, what they're doing to indoctrinate children into gender ideology, which is just Marxism. As we do that, I want to share my perspective right off the bat. There's a big difference between supporting a child and indoctrinating a child. If a child says, "Hey, I'm trans," they don't need to be bullied. They need to be supported. They might need mental help. I don't believe God makes mistakes and is like, dude, you're meant to be a girl, but I put you in a boy's body. I believe humans make mistakes. I also believe in freedom. Like, hey, you can be a man and you can live as a woman. You can say you're a woman. Doesn't mean you are a woman, but you have the freedom to be yourself. That's awesome. Now, when it comes to children who believe in Santa Claus, I wanted to be a cowboy when I was 5. And thank God my parents didn't get me cowboy reassignment surgery, because probably by the time I was 2 weeks after that, I don't want to be a cowboy anymore. So big difference between supporting a child versus indoctrinating a child into your gender ideology. Not yours, but theirs. To me, it breaks my heart that they're coming for children, but we can do something about it, and I think awareness is the first step. Before we get into it, I'll just say there was that Bill Maher quote you may have seen. It was going around a month or two ago, where he's looking at the trend of trans children, saying cool, there's a lot in California, barely any in Ohio. So that means either California is creating them or Ohio is shaming them. And I think there's absolutely an agenda not to identify kids who are trans. I think there's an agenda to create them. So with that said, we're going to take a look at the Instagram account called Upward News. They used to be the Unwoke Narrative, or just Unwoke Narrative, and they just rebranded themselves to be Upward News. This is one of my favorite accounts to follow. They bring out all kinds of news that the tyrants don't want you to know. So they do an excellent job calling all this stuff out. So let's take a look. Coming to a public school near you. Just read the little caption here. In Portland, Oregon's public schools, sexuality and exploring the infinite gender spectrum appears in kindergarten. Let's see what that means. Kindergarten. Kindergarten, that's 5 and 6-year-olds. Minds are very vulnerable to influence. The lead curriculum includes radical queer theory, such a weird name, transgenderism, and critical race theory. In kindergarten, the curriculum begins by teaching a graphic anatomy lesson about children's genitalia. Dude, the kids have their own genitals. They don't stop sexualizing our children. They can see their own genitals. They don't need any kind of graphic anatomy class of their genitals and other people's genitals. They're 5. The lesson does not include gender spectrums such as boy or girl. That would be inappropriate to teach children what boys and girls are. And then these images down here. Again, this is leaked curriculum from Portland public schools. Not making this stuff up. It says most bodies have these middle parts, nipples and anus. And then shows the top half of the anatomy part with person with a penis. Dude, we should create a word that describes person with a penis. Dude, hopefully someday society will progress itself there. And then person with a vulva. I don't even know what a vulva is. I know what a vagina is. Maybe I need this class. I don't know. What's next? In 1st and 2nd grade, students are taught gender identity theory. The curriculum points out that many people think there are only 2 genders, girls and boys. But this is not true. This is a complete destruction of objective truth. And if you know much about Marxism, I know a little bit. Marxism is all about destroy objective truth. Why would they do that? Because then they can control people. If people have objective truth, physics, reality as their guiding North Star, their minds aren't very susceptible to corruption and outside influence, preaching falsehoods, preaching lies, because you've got this objective truth that's irrefutable. Like up is up, down is down, a boy is a boy, a girl is a girl. So Marxism seeks to destroy objective truth so that idiot tyrants can control the people who allow the truth to be destroyed in their mind. And then there's these slides from the curriculum. Gender is like outer space because there are as many ways to be different genders as there are stars in the sky. Each person is different, and that is cool. So this is basic. If this was true, then that would mean there's two stars in the sky. Last I checked, there's like billions or trillions. There's not billions of genders. There's, what is it? Male, female. Is that a billion? I think it's 2. Next one says, only you can know what your gender is. Even if other people don't understand, you are the only person who knows best. All right, if you're the only person that knows best, then why does this curriculum need to tell you? When kids are born, people call you a gender. These evil doctors and parents. Ugh! Cisgender people. But what is that? People whose gender is the same as what doctors and adults said they were when they were born, based on body parts and shapes. Cis people can be girls or boys. So that's based on biology, which is based on reality. Cool. But sometimes this isn't true, because we can't ask babies what their gender is since they can't talk. Smiley face. Transgender people. People whose gender is different than who doctors and adults thought they were at birth. Trans people can be girls, boys, non-binary people, or any other gender. This is what they're teaching to first and second graders. In 3rd through 5th grade, the district begins lessons on the LGBTQ plus spectrum and activism for the community, indoctrinating kids to not only be like hard drives that carry this software around, but now 3rd through 5th grade, they're teaching them to be activists, which means propagators of the propaganda. Mass formation, psychosis, indoctrination, and process. And this, what they're teaching, here's a piece of it. Gender is colonized. Different cultures use different words because language is created by people and changes over time. Language is often about power, so that part's then cut off. Colonization is taking over, controlling, and erasing the places, cultures, and identities of indigenous people who were already living there. When white European people colonized different places, they brought their own ideas about gender and sexuality. Matt Walsh completely disproved this piece of their propaganda in his amazing film, What is a Woman? If you didn't watch the whole film, it's awesome. But if you haven't, you probably saw the clip of Matt Walsh talking to the indigenous tribe in Africa. And they absolutely know what the two genders are. They know what a man is. They know what a woman is. But gender ideology tries to say, no, it's the white Europeans. This is the social construct. It's a byproduct of Western colonization. Nobody on planet Earth knew what this gender stuff was until the white Europeans came over. But no, that's white people telling you like lies. But Matt Walsh went to indigenous tribe in Africa and proved like, no, they absolutely know what the two genders are. So it's kind of like it's rooted in truth and reality. So people just know about it. When I think about it, this whole gender ideology Marxist movement, what an undertaking. Like who's the guy that proposed this? I don't know, like George Soros, Klaus Schwab. Back a decade ago, they're in a boardroom. They all have their reptilian claws on the table. They're all like lapping up bowls of blood. And they're like, guys, I have an idea. We can destroy people's minds and therefore own their minds, therefore control their whole lives if we get them to believe that male and females don't exist. They're like, Klaus, that is a far-fetched idea. They're not dumb enough to fall for that. He's like, I think they might be. By the end of 5th grade, students have learned how to pause puberty through hormones and surgeries. That's medical malpractice. First thing the oath a doctor takes is to do no harm. It's not to do procedures while the patient believes there's no harm being done while you inflict harm. It's to do no harm. Pausing puberty, doing surgeries on young children who still believe in Santa Claus. And Jordan Peterson, that was my Biden impression. I should fall over, hit my head on the desk. Jordan Peterson points out in one of his recent videos that and I'm paraphrasing, when a person is going through bodily changes, like growing from a child through puberty into a young adult and teenager, that inherently feels insecure. It doesn't feel good. Like your place in the world, it's changing. You're not a child. You're not an adult yet. You're in this uncharted territory. So it inherently feels insecure. In my opinion, the propaganda of the gender ideology tries to capture kids with a relief effort. Like, hey, you feel uncomfortable in your body, don't you? It's like, yeah, I'm going through puberty like everybody does. That's not normal. So you're probably feeling uncomfortable because you're not a boy. It's like, really? Like, I do feel uncomfortable. And you're saying I feel uncomfortable because I'm not a boy. That's the cause? Like, good. Oh, okay, I guess I'm not a boy. So let me go through these surgeries and hormones, and then I'll be comfortable. But unfortunately, the trans community has a shockingly high suicide rate, which to me suggests their solution does not solve the problem. And one could even ask, like, do they have a high suicide rate because they're trans? Or do they become trans because they're suicidal? Ooh, I got pissed off there, inflicting hormones and surgeries on kids. So it goes on. Backtrack. Students have learned how to pause puberty through hormones and surgeries, along with adopting their own pronouns. That's awesome. They also receive a list of commitments to follow, encouraging them to be political activists for queer theory and sexual revolution. Definition of gender nonconforming. This ought to be good. Any cis or trans person of any gender who doesn't follow the social norms about what makes a boy or a girl, who can be feminine and masculine, and or how people are expected to express their gender. It's like the crappiest definition. It doesn't mean anything. So basically, what they're trying to say is anyone can be anything. Cool. I want to be a polar bear. Cool. Then you're a polar bear. Like these ultra-Western colonized conforming people say you're not a polar bear, but only you know the truth if you're a polar bear. What's the difference between multiple personalities, schizophrenia, and then someone who isn't diagnosed but says the same stuff? I don't know if there is a difference. What does the Portland school system say about this? When asked for a statement, Portland Public Schools wrote, "We make certain that our curriculum is LGBTQ plus inclusive for students who identify as transgender, gender conforming, genderqueer, and queer to create a safe and inclusive environment for all of our students." I think they're creating an inclusive environment that's dangerous to all students who aren't trans. Then they become trans, then that's the danger. Everything is socially constructed and related. Everything's socially constructed. Oh, what else? So that's it for the Upward News report on what Portland Public Schools are doing to indoctrinate children, to destroy objective truth, destroy their understanding of biology, destroy their understanding of themselves, and indoctrinate them. Again, big difference between supporting someone and indoctrinating someone. And these are kids that we're looking at. And all I have to say is, this is our fault. We've allowed this. Now, I know there's so many freedom fighters who are fighting to not allow this. We're fighting to protect our children. That's true. And we have to take, in my opinion, we have to take self-responsibility that we got lax. We allowed people into our school boards. We've allowed this kind of thing. If you send your child to a school like this, I know it's easier said than done to take them out of a school, but we allow this. That's the bad news. The good news is, if this is our fault, if it's only here because we've allowed it, then that means we have the power to do something about it. And in this video, we're raising awareness, and step number 2 is we got to protect our children. I think the days of like when I was a kid, you can go to public schools, maybe it wasn't the best thing, but it definitely wasn't the worst thing like we're seeing here. Those days are simply over. And hopefully we'll get back to it one day where public schools are not dangerous breeding grounds for destructions of truth, Marxism, communism. But that's not where we're at here. We have to take the self-responsibility to protect our children, in my opinion. And I say that as a father. That's not easy, but as the stewards of our children's souls, I think it's our responsibility, and dare I say, it's our privilege. So for me, the purpose of going through a video like this, or news like this, or any other video we do on this channel, is for you and I to be more inspired to unapologetically stand for truth and freedom on a daily basis, because I think we need more of that. I know I do. So with that said, my friend, thank you for taking a gander at this news that makes me want to barf. I'm gonna go to the bathroom and throw up now about what Portland Public Schools are doing. And hey, if you're new to this channel, it would be an honor to me if you chose to subscribe. We've got new videos coming at you every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday here on the JP Reacts channel. And if you want a little assistance helping spread the freedom vibes around your community, your world, and also have a way to represent what you stand for, you can check out all the new designs and classic designs in my Freedom line of merch. This is my new favorite. Make America 1776 again, not Make America indoctrinated again like this. You can check all that out only at awakenwithjp.com. But more importantly, in the meantime, between now and next time, my friend, stay free.